Israel Keyes is an American serial killer, kidnapper, rapist, burglar, bank robber, arsonist, and necrophile who murders at least 3 people from June 2011 to February 2012, but whose violent crimes go all the way back to 1996, and drawings found in his cell indicate he murdered a total of 11. Hi there, my name is Misha. Welcome to All Things True Crime, or welcome back if you're a regular. If you enjoy this video, please remember to like it, share it, comment, and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss my next video. And then ding the bell, that way you'll get notified the next time I upload. That's All Things True Crime. It's truly chilling. It's been a few weeks since I've uploaded. I apologize, I've been really sick, but I'm back. Israel Keyes. Okay, his story begins in Richmond, Utah on January 7th, 1978. He is the second of 10 children born to his parents who are Mormon expatriates from Torrance, California. Israel and his siblings are homeschooled and taught the Mormon faith until 1983. At this time, his parents leave the Mormon faith and his father moves the family to a remote area in Stevens County, which is north of Colville, Washington. Stevens County is located along the U.S.-Canada border. Israel is just 5 years old at this time. The family is now completely isolated from society and living in a one-room cabin without electricity and without running water. Great. The family begins attending a church in Colville that teaches and practices white supremacist Christian identity ideology. And that's a mouthful. Now, this interpretation of Christianity is only independently practiced. It is not an organized religion, nor is it affiliated with any specific Christian denomination. Its theology is a racial interpretation of Christianity. So basically, all non-white people will either be exterminated or enslaved to serve the white race in heaven. Okay. I don't know how the family found such a nutty church, but they did and they attended it, so yikes. Side note. At this point in the story, the family meets and befriends the family of Chevy O'Brien Cahoe, who was later convicted in 1996 for kidnapping, torturing, and murdering a man, his wife, and their 8-year-old daughter. He and a friend committed this triple murder, so, a pair of saints. At some point, they stopped attending that church and started attending one that teaches British Israelism, which is the belief that the people of Great Britain, and in some cases, the people of the United States, are the direct descendants of the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Okay. And this British Israelism is what gave birth to Christian identity ideology in America. So, from one super racist church to another, and actually kind of backwards to like the foundation, so great. This type of environment breeds a militia-like personality for Keyes. His home life is hard. The one-room cabin gets cramped with 10 children, and some of the kids are forced to sleep outside in a tent. Being isolated and off the grid means to survive, the kids have to hunt for food, chop wood for fires, to stay warm, and to cook, and they find work on local farms to support the family financially. Keyes admits he enjoys hunting anything with a heartbeat, and brags to friends at his church that he once skinned a deer alive. Yikes. As this side of him comes out more and more, the other children at the church begin avoiding him, and he becomes ostracized, with one girl saying that his very presence makes her skin crawl. His behavior continues to deteriorate. He starts shooting at neighbors' houses with his BB gun, starting small fires in the woods like forest fires, and breaks into homes. All of this just for fun. He convinces a friend to participate in some of this behavior, but the friend stops and quits associating with him after he witnesses Keyes shoot an animal just for fun. So, chaos. One time, he steals guns from a neighbor's house. His parents find them and make him apologize. Apparently, he steals other guns at different times and sells them. One story is that Keyes ties a cat to a tree with a parachute cord, and gores it with a .22 revolver. Then the cat gets free somehow and then starts running around the tree until it crashes into it and pukes. This makes Keyes laugh. I guess the incident is so bad that a kid who was watching later pukes from having watched the torture of the cat. What a sicko. I hate animal torture, any torture, but poor cat. What a sicko. So the response of his peers makes Keyes realize that he is different. No joke. Nutcase. After realizing this, he leans into it and tries keeping his antisocial behavior buried and just begins withdrawing. We kind of see him have two personalities at this point. One that is, he begins to develop, one that breeds and leans into his serial killer ways, and one that seems very normal. So it's interesting how he kind of separates. His mother says around this time is when she starts seeing some troubling signs. No kidding, he tortured a cat and then laughed about it. This is all pre-teen stuff too. By the time he's a teenager, he is a skilled carpenter, building a cabin for his parents at age 16 and working as a contractor from 95 to 1997. He starts writing in a diary as a young child and continues this as a teenager. In his diary are Bible verses of it and his account of daily sins for which he feels shame. It's around this time or shortly after that the family moves to a mostly Amish community in Smyrna, Maine, where they collect sap for maple syrup production. Keyes' mother continues her religious zealousness, or maybe just leans harder into it, and the kids have to watch movies with friends in secret and are forbidden to learn musical instruments, that's just to name a few of the restrictions. In her mind, these things are against God. Likely due to her extreme beliefs, Keyes walks away from whatever faith he had before. Not that this is a bad thing in his case. British Israelism and white supremacist ideology in the name of God are not good or appropriate. Keyes becomes tired of constantly trying to please his parents, and after an intense argument one day, he tells them that he is an atheist. They kick him out of their house and shun him. He's looked up to by his siblings, right, being one of the oldest, so the parents ensure that the younger siblings know to never contact him again. He soon develops an extreme interest in Satanism and plans to commit a ritualistic murder and end scene on his childhood. He begins committing sexual assaults. One of those goes that in the summer of 1997 or 1998, he stalks a girl from a tree line as she tubes down the Deschutes River in Maupin, Oregon. By knife point, he very violently sexually assaults her. He estimates that she is between 14 and 18 years old. His original plan is to murder her as part of his satanic ritualistic murder that he's committed to doing, but he has a change of heart at the last minute and lets her go. She convinces him. She's a smooth talker, I guess. Good for her, right? For some reason, maybe fear of being caught for the string of sexual assaults, he abruptly moves to New Jersey and enlists in the United States Army, where he serves as a specialist in the Alpha Company 1st Battalion, 5th Infantry Regiment. He passes the rigorous month-long preliminary course for the Army Ranger training. During his enlistment, he is stationed at Fort Lewis, Fort Hood, and in Sinai, Egypt. It's here a fellow soldier angers Keyes for some reason, and Keyes tells another fellow soldier that he would like to kill the one that angered him. Okay. Yikes. Soldiers that are stationed with him on Fort Lewis say he is quiet, keeps to himself, drinks a lot on the weekends, like drinking entire bottles of his favorite bourbon by himself. So, angry, antisocial behavior, heavy drinking, sexual assaults, harming animals, the components are all there for being a serial killer. It is here in Fort Lewis that Keyes meets a woman, and they have a child together. In February 2001, he is arrested for drinking and driving. He is slapped with a small fine. Later that year, he is awarded an Army Achievement Medal for meritorious service as an assistant gunner and gunner. He is then honorably discharged, after which he relocates to Nebe, Washington. Not sure how it transpires, but he eventually lives on the Maka Indian Reservation of Nebe. He lives with his girlfriend and their daughter for around 6 years. When they break up, he begins dating someone else, and at some point he relocates to Alaska with his new girlfriend and his daughter. and then in 2007 starts a construction business and also works as a general handyman, construction worker, and contractor. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. Not that all of that background isn't important. I had to lay the groundwork for you. So, Keyes targets random people all across the United States in order to avoid, or let's be real, delay being caught by law enforcement. He spends months planning each crime before executing it. He targets people at campgrounds and other isolated locations for obvious reasons. He prefers strangulations and only uses a firearm when it is necessary to. The choice of strangulation as his method strongly suggests that he derives pleasure from the process of someone losing consciousness at his hand, power, and control. While Keyes claims to not murder children or parents due to him having a child of his own, the FBI believes he in fact murdered several children and teenagers. It's not confirmed, but it is believed he commits his first 3 murders as a teenager. One in 1996 and one in 1997. The first of these 2 is a 12-year-old Special Olympics medalist in skiing. She disappears in 1996 and her remains are found a year later in a wooded area a few miles from where she disappeared. The second, in 1997, a trailer is set on fire with a woman inside. She dies from that fire. The third is this woman's young daughter, who is reported missing after the trailer fire. Her remains were found the following year, about 13 miles from her home. No one is ever arrested in either case, and while Keyes does not admit to murdering either of these girls, he does admit that his first act of arson was a trailer fire. During his 3 years in the Army, Keyes does not admit to committing any murders, but he does admit to attempting to rape 2 women. Once is in Egypt with a prostitute, and another time with a college girl in Israel. He resumes his killing spree after his discharge in 2001, if he ever stopped at all. So he later admits to investigators that he committed 4 murders in the state of Washington. He believes he is the subject of an active investigation by the state police and the FBI. He doesn't have a felony criminal record in Washington state, only having been stopped on 2 occasions for minor driving-related offenses. Authorities did go back and review unsolved murders and missing persons cases to determine and could be linked to Keyes. Keyes is a suspect in a 2007 murder spree by the Boca Killer in Boca Raton, Florida. The first case sort of linked to him is the murder of Randy Gorenberg. In March 2007, she is abducted from a mall parking lot. In just 1 hour, she is abducted, shot twice, murdered, and her body dumped in a separate location. The second crime linked to him, at least tentatively, is the kidnapping of an unidentified woman. She claims her and her toddler were abducted from a shopping mall parking lot in August of the same year. The kidnapper wore a mask and sunglasses, but she claims to have caught a few glimpses of his face and gives the police a general description that fits Keyes. It's not that difficult, as there are a lot of tall, athletic builds with long hair, but still. Interestingly, she is released unharmed after he forces her to withdraw money from an ATM. The third case is the murder of a 47-year-old woman and her 7-year-old daughter. On December 12, 2007, their bodies are found shot to death in the woman's vehicle in a mall parking lot. Keyes confesses to at least 1 murder in the state of New York. While authorities aren't able to identify the victim or when and where it occurred, they do regard his confession as credible. He also confesses to robbing banks in New York and Texas, and he has ties to New York, as he owns 10 acres of land and a falling down cabin in the town of Constable. He also robbed and burned down a home in Texas, so, busy nutcase. Authorities believe in April 2009, Keyes murders a woman in New Jersey, Deborah Feldman, and buries her in New York near Tupper Lake. Keyes confesses to murdering a couple, Bill and Lorraine Currier, in their home in Essex, Vermont. He breaks into their home on the night of June 8, 2011, ties them up, drives them to an abandoned farmhouse, where he shoots Bill, then sexually assaults Lorraine before strangling her to death. Yikes. To add to the horror, authorities never found their bodies. The farmhouse has since been demolished. Still no bodies. Who knows what he did with them? Super weird and creepy though. So Keyes plans his murders way ahead of time and takes extraordinary actions for all of it. He chooses his victims at seemingly random and therefore doesn't have a profile. Or maybe that is his profile. Randomness. Or I say, seemingly random because is anything really random? Something in him snaps when he sees someone and decides to murder them. If we could see inside his mind, we could probably discern a pattern. Anyway, the couriers. As with all the others, he keeps his phone turned off to avoid law enforcement pinpointing his location from cell towers. He pays for everything with cash. For the couriers, he flies from Anchorage to Chicago, rents a car, and drives to Vermont to murder them. Jeez, it's a lot of work to cover your tracks. Now, there is a paper trail though, right, with the flight and the rental car, even with cash, but it's still really thorough. So 2 years before he murders them, he stashes or buries what he calls a kill cache, which is a box or a 5-gallon bucket with a pistol, a silencer, a camera, duct tape, and zip ties. Then after murdering them, he moves it to a new hiding place in Parrishville, New York. Sometimes he uses a trash bag where he hides stuff to help decompose bodies and just hides it in a random part in the woods. Keyes' last confirmed victim is 18-year-old Samantha Koenig. On February 1st, 2012, she is working at her job, which is a small fish house-sized coffee shop in Anchorage, Alaska. He jumps in through the window of the small coffee shop and leads her out at gunpoint. His idea is to kidnap her and hold her for a ransom. She very quickly escapes, but he catches her, presses the gun against her, and tells her to walk like she's drunk. She complies and is forced into her car. Apparently, there are people in the parking lot, but I guess they believe she is fine or else aren't paying enough attention. My 2 cents is you're very likely to not make it out of a situation like this, even if you comply, and you're likely to be tortured or raped before being murdered, so you may as well run like hell. Kick, scream, punch, grab, all of it. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, back to poor Samantha. Keyes proceeds to take Samantha to a remote shed, blasts the radio to mask her screams, and rapes her before strangling her to death. And by the way, before he does this, he kicks back, cracks open a bottle of wine, drinks a glass while he explains to her what's about to happen to her. Sick bastard. After he murders her, he leaves her body in the shed to freeze, and he departs for New Orleans, where he meets his family and boards a pre-booked 2-week-long cruise to the Gulf of Mexico. After the cruise, he returns to Alaska with a plan in place to collect a ransom in exchange for her, as though she is still alive. He thaws her body, puts makeup on her face, and sews her eyes open with fishing wire. Let me just say, it's so messed up on so many levels. Yikes. So Keyes photographs her body with a few-day-old newspaper to make it seem like she is still alive. Thankfully, the FBI generally isn't dumb and quickly determines from the photo that she is either unconscious or dead, most likely dead. Keyes proceeds to leave a ransom note in a park and uses Samantha's phone to text her boyfriend demanding $30,000. He then dismembers her body, cuts a hole in the ice at Matanuska Lake near Anchorage, and drops her dismembered body in, piece by piece. He claims to have fished in the hole during the same time while he waits for her remains to sink. He says he caught fish and then went home and ate them. Now, Mr. Tough Guy, or so he wants everyone to think. Serial killers, by default, are cowards. Don't forget that. Later, Keyes tells the FBI where to find her body, and with a search crew, they are able to recover her remains. Man, that would suck. To be the divers that have to recover pieces of a poor girl. So Samantha's parents deposit money into her account per Keyes' ransom note. The community rallies, and they get the money donated. And his withdrawing of that money is eventually what leads to his capture, the dirt bag. His first withdrawal occurs in Anchorage, Alaska. Law enforcement is tracking it in real time, and they close in on the ATM machine, but they miss him by only minutes, or perhaps even just seconds. His second withdrawal occurs in Willcox, Arizona. He is on the move. Fleeing? Maybe. Now at this point, while the police are tracking the debit card, they haven't a clue who they're looking for. As far as I know, they haven't gotten a profile from the FBI, so they are a bit blind. Keyes' third withdrawal is in Lordsburg, New Mexico. Fourth is in Humble, Texas. Fifth is in Shepherd, Texas. Now, By this time, they have discerned a pattern. They know Keyes is traveling along Interstate 69, headed east, taking the I-10 corridor. Keyes doesn't realize that banks have ATM cameras mounted at different locations to get a full picture of the surroundings, and one such camera catches his white Ford Focus. Gotcha! On March 13, 2012, a state trooper locates a white Ford Focus in a hotel parking lot on the I-10 corridor. Bingo. The trooper stays back but follows the car. Keyes happens to exceed the speed limit, granting the trooper reason to pull him over. Now, I'm pretty sure they can pull people over for reasonable cause, being that the car matches the description of a murderer's car, serial killer's car, but maybe not. The trooper pulls him over, and boy oh boy, he and a Texas Ranger arrest one vile dude. Once they spot cash stained with bright ink, they search his car, the stained ink indicating a die pack from a bank robbery. Samantha's ATM card and cell phone are found in his car as well. Now, he is suspected in the murder of an electrician named Jimmy Tidwell. Jimmy disappears near Longview, Texas, around the time Keyes returns from his cruise, where he is unable to murder for 2 weeks. A day later, February 16, 2012, during a bank robbery in Azle, Texas, and about 170 miles from Longview, the robber, believed to be Keyes, wears the same or very similar hard hat to what Tidwell wore. The FBI believes Keyes burglarizes 20 to 30 homes, robs several banks, and murders 11 people all across the United States during his spree, which ran from 2001 to 2012, or perhaps 1996 to 2012. There is a possibility that he is responsible for more murders than that, perhaps even some outside of the country. At some point during his young adulthood, I'm not exactly sure when, but he gets a hold of the Mindhunter book, written in 1995. He continues to study serial killers very meticulously and idolizes Ted Bundy. He believes they share many similarities, such as being so methodical and feeling as though they possessed their victims. Okay. He even goes as far as imitating Bundy's court escape. Guard sees him immediately, the dummy. So he uses wood shavings to pick his cuffs. Now that is skill, and I will admit. Then when he runs, he's tased. So, idiot. He truly admires many other serial killers and studies them closely. What's different about him is that he doesn't want the media attention. Not really. He says he is fearful for his family, doesn't want his daughter to know about his crimes, and doesn't want to be considered a copycat killer, since he admires other serial killers. At one point, he calls Dennis Rader, BTK, a wimp for apologizing in court and showing remorse for his murders. Now, point of clarification. Keyes is wrong. Rader isn't remorseful for his murders. He is sad he lost his family and that he's in prison, but he even admits that he can cube, which is turn on and off any emotion. So Rader's remorse depends on his mood. That isn't true remorse. Now, quick side note. I study serial killers. I don't study them because I admire them. I study them because of the psychology behind what makes them nuts and the psychology behind the FBI and law enforcement catching them, profiling them. I admire the law enforcement, and I find the psychology fascinating. So, just why I like learning about them in particular. So Keyes also mentions knowing all about Robert Hansen, the butcher baker, and James Holmes, the Aurora theater shooter. He claims to know about every serial killer that's ever been written about. By the way, I do have a video on BTK and the butcher baker, so check him out. So Keyes is arrested by the trooper and a ranger at the Cotton Patch Cafe in Lufkin, Texas. Now that sounds delicious. Cotton Patch Cafe. He is subsequently extradited to Alaska, where he confesses to Samantha's murder and is represented by a public defender. He is indicted in the case, and his trial is scheduled to begin in March 2013. While incarcerated, Keyes speaks to law enforcement several times over a period of several months. He cooperates for a while, and to an extent, by confessing to some crimes, and with a weird statement about wishing to be executed within a year. He says he will cooperate under the condition that his name or identity is left out of the media, because he doesn't want his daughter to know of his crimes, and he doesn't want her to get any negative attention due to his crimes. Of course, his name does eventually get out. and he pretty much clams up completely at that point. So I mentioned earlier that he attempts to escape. This occurs on May 23rd, 2012, during one of his hearings. I bet it felt good for the cops to tase that bastard. Zap! Oops, I accidentally pulled the trigger again or held it a little longer. Didn't mean to zap you with another 50 million volts. I'm kidding. It's only 50,000 volts. And for perspective, a police taser is about 10 times the amount of an outlet. So if you've ever tried to replace an outlet without shutting the power off, and you happen to get zapped when you're unscrewing the screw that holds the hot, or and you get a little, So a taser is about 10 times the amount of an outlet, but an electric eel can produce 28 times the amount of a taser, roughly. So you should just throw eels at people. While he's being held at the Anchorage Correctional Complex for Samantha's murder, he somehow gets a hold of a razor blade and gets back to his cell with it, or whatever. Maybe someone delivers it to him. I don't know how it worked. But so he isn't allowed razor blades. That makes sense. Nobody should be, right? No murderer, no prisoner. But since it's because he's under security restrictions. He's only allowed to use an electric razor, and that has to be used under supervision. He is found dead in his cell on December 2nd, 2012, having cut his wrists with said razor blade, and then hanging himself, just in case he is found before he has bled out. Under his hanging body was a suicide note, more like a rambling letter that is later called a creepy ode to murder. He doesn't offer any clues or any additional confessions in the letter, instead describes his victims as pretty captive butterflies. Anchorage homicide detective Monique Dahl says of Keyes, quote, "He didn't kidnap and kill people because he was crazy. He didn't kidnap and kill people because his deity told him to, or because he had a bad childhood. Israel Keyes did this because he got an immense amount of enjoyment out of it, much like an addict gets an immense amount of enjoyment out of drugs. In a way, he was an addict, and he was addicted to the feeling that he got when he was doing this." End quote. Now, my 2 cents. The dude was totally crazy, and his childhood sucked. His parents were nuts. He was also nuts and enjoyed it, but come on. He had some screws loose, and his parents were definitely to blame for a lot of it. When asked by investigators why he committed his crimes, Israel Keyes simply replies with, quote, "Why not?" Part of his letter read, quote, "Your face, framed in dark curls, like a portrait. The sun shone through highlights of red. What color, I wonder, and how straight will it turn, plastered back with the sweat of your blood." End quote. In 2020, the FBI released drawings of 11 skulls and 1 pentagram, which Keyes had drawn on paper with his own blood. They were found in his cell, under his bed. On one of the drawings was written the phrase, "We are one. We are one," at the bottom. The FBI believes the number of skulls correlates to the number of people Keyes murdered. Well, that's creepy. If you enjoy this video, please remember to like it, share it, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Next week, we are going to learn all about Juana Braza, also known as the Little Old Lady Killer, a Mexican serial killer and former professional wrestler who is convicted of murdering 16 elderly women, but likely murdered nearly 50 between 1998 and 2006. Catch her disturbing story next time, right here on All Things True Crime. It's truly chilling. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe.